Apple Gift Card is a practical gift that unlocks a world of entertainment and fun. You can send it via email or give a physical card to your loved ones. Your friends and family can spend it on their favorite Apple services, including Apple subscriptions. Apple Gift Card can be used to buy all things Apple. Products, accessories, apps, games, movies, TV shows, iCloud Plus, and more. Visit apple.com for details and to send Apple Gift Cards to your friends and family this holiday season.
Want to stay up to date on the biggest stories in pop culture and entertainment? Then be sure to check out the TMZ podcast. I'm Charlie Cotton from TMZ, the TV show, and every day I'll sit down with a member of our news team to give exclusive breakdowns of the day's most talked about headlines, stories we break, and the stories you care about. So check out the TMZ podcast, Monday through Friday, and the other podcasts from the TMZ audio network like Last Days and TMZ Verified, available on all podcast platforms.
Level up your listening with Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra earbuds and headphones with immersive sound and world-class noise cancellation for a not-so-silent night. Visit Bose.com/Spotify to shop sound that's more than a present.
For the first 99 episodes of this podcast, we have done our very best to find the good things to say about films that were unfairly maligned. But now, we may have finally met our match. It may not be easy. We may strain our brains with the mental gymnastics required to find the silver linings, but we'll try our best to shed some light on the room in this, the 100th episode of It's Not That Bad. Welcome one and all to the 100th episode of It's Not That Bad. Holy crap, we made it to 100 episodes, and there is only one movie that is big and bad enough to cover for such a historic milestone, and that's The Room. And here to go down this road with me, and I'm going to apologize right now because we had to watch The Room again, is my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing today?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm sorry, did you say The Room or The Ruin?
No,
because
the Room.
Yeah.
One might actually easily get confused, but
it's going to be a quiet episode.
Right. Believe me, I get it. I do get it. First things first, though, like, happy 100 episodes.
Happy anniversary.
Right? Gives us another reason to celebrate, which I'm all for. Look, listeners, you guys are the ones that have helped keep this show going by tuning in, listening to the episodes, chiming in, hopping on being a guest. I am ever so grateful for every single one of you who have come onto the show, who have listened, who have laughed, cried, because I'm making you watch The Room, right? But 100 episodes, holy crap. I am super stoked that we have made it this far. Ever so thankful.
Now, I have a question. Is that counting only the It's Not That Bad episodes, or also counting the Grading on a Curve?
No, this is only the It's Not That Bad episodes. The Grading on a Curve and Keep Watch Past episodes are their own beasts on this channel. So this is 100 movies.
100. So we've defended thus far 99. So
we got 99 movies, and The Room is our one problem.
Oh, I like it.
Right?
I like it.
First of all, we got a message from Brian over at My Weekly Mixtape. It says, I just want to wish you a huge congratulations on 100 episodes. I am extremely grateful and thankful for the times you brought me on to be a part of those 100 eps. Here's to the next 100 and beyond. Brian, thank you so much. And to all of our listeners and to all of our guests, thank you all so much. Now, we got to get down to business here. Get down to business. You know, I can sit here and wax philosophic on, reaching this milestone, but we set ourselves up one hell of a challenge because we are going to be talking about The Room, the Citizen Kane of bad films, the best bad film ever made. So, Carrie, when I mentioned The Room was going to be our 100th episode, and you knew this day was coming, were you regretting your life choices at this point?
At that moment, no. I was actually kind of looking forward to the rewatch until the rewatch. I really wanted to find the good in the room. And then I looked around and all I could see is Lisa. What does she do anyway? She just sits and leeches off of...
Oh, you got issues.
Oh, yeah. But I'm here to say nice things.
Right?
So cue the music.
Was Lisa tearing you apart?
Oh.
Right.
The script.
Yeah.
The gratuitous sex scenes to the hip. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, dear listeners, if you've never watched The Room, you are doing yourself a disservice, because I think there's something to be said about a rite of passage, and every podcaster, every movie lover out there needs to watch The Room. And I don't mean this as, you need to watch this to behold. No. There's a rule. In order to make good films, you need to watch good films. And you also need to watch bad films so you know what a bad film looks like.
To be fair, going into this, I was ever hopeful that it was more like living in oblivion, because in my memory or my mind's eye, that's kind of how I remember it to be, like the cheesy, school project made movie, right? However, on the rewatch, I was like,
See, living in Oblivion felt more to me like The Disaster Artist, and how that was a movie about the making of the movie.
True, but I think I was really hopeful for just something that you can look at and say, okay, so this was like a student film. Like, tell me that this was a student film.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and one of the things when we were watching this is that, we went to broadcasting college, and I remember writing some fictional stuff for projects, and I have to sit there and remind myself that, yeah, at the time, maybe we thought it was good, but I guarantee you, if anyone watched some of those projects now, they'd be sitting there going, oh, tell me why Zoe wannabe. Okay, I get it. Like, I'm sure if you took a look at any of my college stuff, it would probably be on equal playing ground with The Room. Although I will admit that my scripts were probably better.
Oh, come on. If it's on TV, it must be true.
Right.
And I was so trying to remember, what was that project that we were working on? You did like the downtown.
Oh, was that Wake Up Call?
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No one will ever find those tapes ever. I think it's on like Betacam or 3/4 inch or something like that. Some
I think they're holding up
format.
A coffee table somewhere.
Oh, at least it'd be useful. Okay.
Collecting dust.
Okay. So we have waxed philosophic about our horrible college filmmaking day. So it's now time to talk about The Room. But before we do our best in this 100th episode to tackle the best worst film ever made, it is time to take The Room and trailerize it.
In 2003, one movie dared to challenge everything we knew about filmmaking, made us rethink our notion of what a good script sounded like. Hell, it even challenged our notion of how the English language should work. Enter The Room, a movie where love, ambition, and common sense go to die. Johnny is the guy everybody loves, except the girl of his dreams, his future wife, who is in love with his best friend, who flip-flops between loving her and not wanting to hurt his best friend. If it was that simple, we wouldn't be here. throwing away too horny adopted pseudo-son who may or may not be selling or doing drugs, random couples using Johnny's apartment for sex, and a mother who wants everyone to settle and be as miserable as she is. With more sex than a softcore porn film, more nonsensical dialogue than a drunk trying to get out of a speeding ticket, and more production money than should have ever been spent on this film. It's The Room, rated 18A, for absolutely the best, worst film ever made.
Oh, come on, tell me, how much did it cost? It was all done in one room, and then horrible green screen.
Okay, you have to understand, like, I've read the book, The Disaster Artist, which is written by Greg Sestero and is basically the telling of the making of this film. And we've watched The Disaster Artist, like the film that was made based on that book, which is based on the making of this film. This film had a budget of $6 million, apparently.
Wow.
$6 million of Tommy Wiseau's dollars.
And considering he did like 9 out of the 10 jobs, like,
right? but here's the thing, like, there was so much wrong with this production because he wanted to do it in a way that make it look like big Hollywood film. He shot it on film and digital simultaneously because no one had ever done that before. He was shooting scenes in weird orders where they would strike the set and then had to rebuild the set because he wanted to shoot another scene there. He was doing rewrites on the fly. He was showing up late. Things were going, like, there was money being thrown out on this film and yet no one really knew where the $6 million came from. It's fascinating. Like, the more you read, and I encourage listeners to read The Disaster Artist, because if you've ever watched the film and then you go and read the book, you're like, holy crap, how did this film even actually reach its, like, get finished? It's fascinating. But I mentioned $6 million budget. At the domestic box office, because it was released, it has made a total of $549,602. And worldwide, just under $5 million. Now, this doesn't account for DVD sales and not all of the midnight showings, because this film has become a midnight movie kind of experience.
Cult classic.
Right? Very much like if you've ever gone to a review cinema to go see the Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know that the audience has lines all queued up and ready to react to the film. This has become the same way. People are constantly throwing spoons at the screens. There's a lot going on. But let's also get into who's in this film. It was written by, starring, and directing Tommy Wiseau, and also starring Greg Sestero, Juliette Danielle, Philip Haldeman, Carolyn Minot, Robin Paris, Mike Holmes, Dan Janjigan, and Kyle Vaught. There is no awards for this film, not even the Razzies, not even the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards. This film escaped everybody's view, which is surprising because when the film came out, Tommy Wiseau had put a billboard up on, like, Sunset Strip to promote the film, and it stayed up there for a long, long time. He put a lot of money into keeping that billboard there. However, the critics' scores on this. Over at Metacritic, this film has a Metascore of 9. 9. And over at Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is 47%.
Wow.
And the tomatometer is 25%.
Higher than I thought.
Yeah. You would expect something closer to the Metascore of 9. So, as I say this to you, and we're taking a look at, like, the audience score, I kind of get it, because when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes, people are going to rate it if they saw it, or more or less if they liked it, or if they really hated it. And those who are in between probably aren't going to actually leave a review. But you have to think that it does have a cult following. You're stunned in silence.
Well, no, because again, that's where on the rewatch, I almost had kind of forgotten about the movie, almost like, like a bad dream that eventually you just want to shake off and kind of move on from. But on the rewatch, I was like I was really trying to find the redeemable quality.
I was really trying hard to find something, anything. Dear God, help me. Whew.
I tried. I really tried. And then there was the moment where I had you pause the movie so I could go on a rant tirade.
Oh, don't worry. There's a spot in my notes here where it's just like, yeah, we're just going to let Carrie take the mic and take the lead on this one here.
But I'm supposed to say nice things, so I don't want to talk about it.
Which, for the record, apparently, like, I don't want to talk about it was repeated like 7 times in the film. Right?
I swear I'm saving you from watching the movie, dear listeners. I'm quoting the entire script because it was either Johnny laughing, like awkwardly, like strangely awkwardly, or it was Lisa saying, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, pretty much. That being said, before we get into the breakdown here, this film this year, as of recording this, is 30 years old, and yet people are still talking about this film. I think there's something to be said about the complete absurdity of the movie and how that has held it in at least continued pop culture narratives. Like, you gotta be real bad in order to be able to be talked about this long. But I think there's a reason people have been talking about it, and I'll get to that a little bit later. And believe me when I say it's actually a nice thing to say. So be forewarned, dear listeners, I'm actually going to have some nice things to say about this. Somehow, some way. Trust. Just trust.
So am I here to be the negative?
Oh, we're playing good
To
cop,
your
bad cop
positive?
with the room?
Yeah.
No. You
I'm
gotta,
like the yin to your yang.
you're like the balance beam on this one here.
Yeah.
All right, but let's get to the breakdown here. We got to start with the one and only Tommy Wiseau as Johnny. How was he for you?
You know what? This is where I'm actually going to be really positive, is that he was really a likable character. He was really likable, and you really felt for him, and you just had hoped. I had hoped for better, for him. Definitely a better outcome, and I'm not going to spoil the ending, but he deserved better than Lisa. He should have kicked her to the curb. She should have been honest with him, but I digress. Yeah, he was done dirty, and I really felt for him.
One of the things I will say about this film, Tommy Wiseau in real life is very secretive about his background, his history, his origins, if you will. Like, he's a very private, very mysterious person. But there's something to be said about people who write, and every now and then there's aspects of their personality in the things that they write. And you have to wonder if parts of this story do actually relate to Tommy Wiseau in real life. Not that he's, not a vampire, because that's one of the things. Honestly, when he was writing this, right, and again, if you read the book, The Disaster Artist, he's like, I have this story, it's a great American movie, about Johnny, all-American man, might be a vampire, I don't know. And yeah, he was obsessed with vampires and wanted to, apparently at one point he tried to get this scene in the movie where Johnny's car flew off into the sun somehow. Yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
Okay. He worked at a bank. Johnny worked
at a bank, yes. No, again, you really do have to read The Disaster Artist. It is a fascinating trip into behind the scenes of this film. But in that, I'm going to say this, and this is one of the nice things I'm going to say about this. Tommy Wiseau, for all his faults behind the scenes, and there are lots, somehow pulled this film together. Like, by sheer force of will, got this film together. Even though he was apparently, we weren't there. We don't know. I know what I've read. But apparently he was the cause of many of the problems on set. But yet this is his brainchild. This is his dream. He dreamed of making a film. And by sheer force of will, made The Room. For better or for worse, he made The Room. And there's something almost inspirational about that. Like, in order to shun every single naysayer and forge ahead with your vision, knowing that in your mind, this is how it should be. Because he wasn't letting anyone change a lick of dialogue at all, which is why some of the lines sound like they do in this film. He would not let anyone change a lick of dialogue. This was his vision, and he manifested this into reality.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Did any of the actors go on to other projects?
Greg Sestero has done a little bit of acting here and there. Everyone else, not really, no.
And Tommy Wiseau?
Tommy Wiseau has actually been in Samurai Cop 2, Deadly Vengeance. But I think the thing is, and Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero did actually make another film together called Best Friends. And I think Tommy Wiseau is famous for being Tommy Wiseau at this point. And the other actors are just off doing their things.
So as Johnny, was he actually acting, or was it Tommy Wiseau with a different name?
I think, and that's what I'm very curious about is this, or how close to Tommy is this? And I wouldn't be surprised if there are hints of, him, or little bits of his reality in Johnny.
I mean, it's interesting why they even changed the character name, because Tommy Wiseau's name is plastered all over the opening credits. Like, every job, produced by, directed by, camera, editing, written, acting. Like, why didn't they just keep the name, for the sake of ease, Tommy, instead of changing it to Johnny?
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing. Like, Mark, as played by Greg Sestero, was apparently named after, and let me try to explain this here. So Tommy Wiseau was apparently fascinated with the movie The Talented Mr. Ripley, and which starred Matt Damon. He, for some reason, thought the guy's name was Mark Damon. So that's why he named Greg Sestero's character Mark, because he thought it was Mark Damon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right. But since
he would be a fascinating dude to meet.
I think he would be. Like, it would be very fascinating to sit down and just ask, because apparently at a lot of these midnight showings of the film, he will often show up and do a Q&A at the theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, something to watch out for.
Right? If ever we're in LA, yeah, absolutely. And the room is showing, there's a possibility Tommy Wiseau's going to show up. I would go. I would. I'd be fascinated to talk to him and just ask him how and why to make this. But since we're talking about Mark Damon, let's talk about Mark as played by Greg Sestero. How is Oh Hi Mark for you?
I don't want to talk about it. Okay, he claims to be Johnny's best friend, and yet he is sleeping with Johnny's fiance. I can only guess that Lisa's
his
fiance.
future wife.
Future wife. Come on, man. Really? No. You should have just continued with the story that you're very busy and hang up the damn phone. Don't be booty calling on your best friend's girl. Period. End of story.
Yeah, Mark is not a strong character. I mean, let's be honest. Lisa is the instigator in the shenanigans, if you will.
Yeah, but he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was getting into when he showed up at the room.
Well, I mean, Lisa's not very subtle, let's put it that way. And clearly Mark was thinking with his boner. So, yeah, no, I get it. I will give Greg Sestero credit here. I recognize that, near the end of the film, he was becoming somewhat disillusioned with the production and how it was just becoming a bit of a nightmare. So kudos to him for going through all of that. It's tough to see this character in any good light, right? And I don't think it's that he's a bad character. I don't think that he's written to be a bad person. I think, though, that he, in this movie, and we're talking Mark, we're not talking Greg Sestero here. We're talking about a weak character. We're talking about someone with no self-conviction, right? He sleeps with Lisa because she wants him to sleep with her. He continues to sleep with Lisa despite all better judgment because she wants him to do that. And whenever he tries to put things into perspective, he's always looking to other people for their opinions, as vaguely as he can put it. Mark can't think for himself. Mark is a dumb pretty boy, basically.
And speaking of dumb pretty boy who forgot his underoos.
Oh, no. We'll get to him in a bit.
Oh, my God.
We'll get to him in a bit. But, yeah, no, Mark, the character, is not a good person. And
here's what I think. I think what would have made the movie more interesting is if it would have been like a really distinguishable piece of Mark's clothing or something that would have been left on one of his booty calls that would have led Johnny to put two and two together and realize what's going on.
Well, all he has to do is put a black light on the stairwell. Yeah. You're going to have like nightmares about this one, aren't you?
So the recording device that he set up, that was to the phone, right? That wasn't like to bug the room, because if he had set up a camera, man, that would have been like pretty quick that he would have had evidence.
Yeah.
Because everything happened in the room.
In the room. It's more than just a metaphor, people. It's more than just a metaphor. Juliette Danielle, who played Lisa, did she tear you apart?
Oh, I don't want to talk about it.
And remember, we are talking about Lisa, the character. We are not talking about Juliette Danielle, the person.
I know, but, as far as acting, if her intention was to make Lisa hateable, well done. Good job. Good job, because I really hated Lisa. Like, I know it was scripted that way. I know she was meant to be not likable, but I'm supposed to say nice things about a very horrible character. and
Right.
I don't want to talk about it.
I will say,
I plead the fifth. I'm going to be quiet about this.
if Tommy Wiseau wrote this script based on maybe a past relationship of his, then you have to think that Lisa is written from a place of pain within him. So Lisa's not going to be likable. Lisa's not going to be the good person.
But then why was she so liked? The neighbors, the young Donnie?
Oh, Denny.
Denny. Like, everybody liked Lisa. She had many friends. She had, she had weaseled her way into the affections of Mark, and Johnny absolutely adored her, treated her like a princess. Yeah.
Lisa, to me, is a perfect example of self-sabotage. Consider, if you will, Lisa is engaged to Johnny, who fawns over her and doesn't have to work for a living, clearly, has friends, has love towards her, has pretty much everything she wants and needs, but can never be happy. And even when things probably start to get better, she'd probably do something to ruin it. And you have to wonder if Lisa, the character, is, how do I put it? Insecure. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. And the minute that something does, it feels unreal. So she does her best to ruin it.
She's selfish. She wanted it all. She wanted to be put up in the house or the apartment. She wanted Johnny to get a promotion. And the minute that he didn't, well, he was pretty much like out his own door. And she fell out of love with Johnny, who she was quite happy to continue letting him buy her things and, pay the rent, and she doesn't have to work, and he treats her absolutely like royalty. He adores her, and all the while she's sleeping with his best friend and flirting with this poor young kid that, like, what is the deal there? I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Oh, we'll get to Denny in a bit.
I just don't know.
But in Lisa's defense, and yes, I'm sticking up for Lisa, the character here, consider how her mother is. And you have to think that this is probably the mentality that Lisa grew up with. Because her mother, as played by Carolyn Minot, I'm just going to literally, I'm going to read my notes on this one here on Carolyn Minot. I'm going to just let Carrie take over on this one here. So I'm going to let you talk about Lisa's mother, and then we'll talk about how that character probably affects Lisa.
Okay, so first of all, the actress was absolutely spectacular. She was so good.
And such a trooper, too, because apparently it was so hot in the studio one day, she actually had to be rushed to hospital for heat exhaustion.
Oh, my God.
And then came back and, like, finished the scene. So, like, absolute trooper.
Okay, as an actress, she was absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
As a mother and potentially mother-in-law to Johnny, oh, what an evil bitch. Like, and so here's the setup, all right? So Lisa's starting to realize that she no longer loves Johnny, that she loves Mark. She wants out of the relationship with Johnny, and yet Mom said no. Mom pointed out all of the things that Johnny does for her, and that her life would pretty much, at one point she says, you need Johnny because you're pretty much nothing without him.
Thanks, Mom.
I'm just like, Oh, wow. So you're basically saying, okay, doesn't matter what the heart says. Here's the reality. You're nothing without this guy supporting you. It's okay to go around with Mark, but don't hurt Johnny because he's gonna get a promotion and take good care of you. Okay, what? That's horrible advice. Marry for money, not for love. And by the way, go and his friend. No, you don't do that. No, so you know what? I was so angry when Mom was delivering her dialogue that I was like, stop the movie. I'm like, what? That is horrible advice. So really, it was played beautifully. It was really good, but had the character of her mom been more real, had it been like, you know what, my dear daughter, Lisa, listen to your heart. Realistically, right, you're going to have to move out of this house and go and get a job if you shack up with this Mark guy who we don't know what he does for a living. Yet he seems very busy. So, first of all, is his heart really into it? Or is he just leading with, as you say, his boner? Like, really, so much wrong with it. Just so much wrong. Like, if Lisa had been honest with Johnny in the beginning and broken up with him, gone the other way, and if she wanted to hook up with Mark later, at least that would have been commendable because she would have been honest with everybody, right? Whether she lands with Mark or not, only time will tell. And if it's meant to be, okay. And then she wasn't meant to be with Johnny, but then at least she's being honest with him as opposed to stringing him along and tearing him apart. Lisa.
Right.
Did I answer your question? I think I think I need a Snickers.
Oh, shit. Slow clap. Chef's kiss on that.
I need a Snickers.
We finally broke her. It took 100 episodes, but we finally broke her.
But you know what? The mom played it well.
Oh, Carolyn Minogue played it very well. I think the thing here, though, is that your guttural reaction to Lisa's mother is probably justifiable because you have to think if this is the way Lisa's mother thinks, then these are the lessons that she has imparted to Lisa, which is why Lisa's so like, I'm going to get everything and be happy. It's almost like because her mother settled or whatever, and
Well, that was the thing. It was in the lines. It was in the script.
Yeah.
When Lisa was talking with her friend there that would hop in and
Michelle, yes,
use her couch. When she's talking with Michelle, she's like, I can and will have it all because, yeah.
Yep.
Ah.
Her point of view is very different from Michelle's.
You know what? It was very warped. And don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed the actors and the actresses' performances. Mm-hmm. I think if this was the script they were given, there were flaws with the script. No disrespect to Tommy Wiseau, but
the English language being one of them.
No. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like character flaws, right? And morality was missing from this script. But if that's the story that he wished to tell, if all I could say is if this somehow mirrors an event in his life, I am so sorry to hear that because it's just awful. Period. End of story. Whether The Room is a
glorified biopic.
No, but whether it's a stellar production or whether it is indeed a student film, it is what it is, but it was made with really great actors, a really great cast of actors. because they do make you this angry,
Right?
when they portray the script that they're given.
Since you mentioned him, let's talk about Philip Haldeman, who played Denny. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You kind of felt for this kid. And, like, where did he go when he left? Did he have his own apartment in the building?
So the way it's described is that Tommy kind of pseudo adopted Denny, kind of took him on as like a pseudo son, if you will, and had an apartment for him in the building that they were living in. So he was helping look after Denny.
But he lives on his own then.
And on his own in an apartment in the building. That's how it's described. So Johnny and Lisa are kind of like pseudo parents to him. So, you know, insert all your Denny's Oedipus complexes here on that one. But
yeah, there was like an awkward sexual tension between Denny and Lisa. And I couldn't get over the ick factor on that. But, you know, whatever. I mean, especially if she's like a parental figure.
Ish, kind of, maybe. I think he feels that more with Johnny than he does with Lisa. But
yeah, I can see that. Okay. So it's like Johnny is the father figure. Lisa's almost like, I don't know, like a sexy cousin or something that he just, I don't know.
Yeehaw.
I don't know. I mean, it was creepy to watch. It was kind of
we
like,
just put a big do not enter sign on the room.
I mean, you got to wonder what the other side of the door looks like. Like red light.
Under a black light, yep. Well, speaking of black light in the room, let's talk about Mike Holmes, who plays Mike, the guy who leaves his underwears in the couch.
I left my underwears. Oh my God.
I have a tragedy here.
Cute but dumb. Holy
Wow.
I was like,
Ooh, called it like you sees it here. Hands up.
oh my God. What was wrong with him?
I don't quite know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get excited for sex too, but I don't like. Hands up. Whew.
I can't even.
Took 100 episodes, but we've broken her for sure. The thing is, if Mike is supposed to be, for lack of a better term, the comedic relief, then he kind of works in this sense. You're going to be okay.
Again, though, I think it would have been, it almost would have been like better for the storyline if it wasn't his underwear. Or like, you know, if mom was trying to hand him back, like, I don't know, let's say Mark's underwear.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. The whole thing is just so twisted. I don't ever want to go in that room. First of all, you can't sit on the couch. You can't go up the stairs.
Right. I mean, yes, there's not so much plot holes in this as there are plot abysses. I will give you that. But, you know, again, from a character's purpose perspective, if Mike is supposed to be the comedic relief, then I can see that. I think,
though, he was the only character that didn't know that Lisa was schlepping Mark.
Like you said, Cupid dumb.
Right.
But let's talk about someone who did know, and that's Michelle, as played by Robin Paris. How was she for you?
You know what? Great, but I do have issue that she wasn't more the voice of reason. Like, where Mom is trying to talk Lisa into staying with Johnny, Michelle should have been the voice of reason to tell Lisa, and she was to a point, but I almost wanted to see Lisa have some sort of self-respect or some sort of like, I don't know, awakening or eye-opening that she's doing Johnny dirty and that she should come clean with him.
I think the thing with Michelle is that like there's a moment in when she's at the room and she's talking with Lisa, and then Johnny comes home and he comments like, "Oh, hey Michelle, did you get a new dress?" And she reacts kind of awkwardly, and I wonder if in the story's sake, Michelle's not necessarily the biggest fan of Johnny, which of course is why she doesn't immediately go to Johnny and rat Lisa out, because she knows that she's stupping Mark and doesn't tell Johnny. Like, she tells Lisa it's a bad idea and that she needs to be honest with Johnny, but doesn't stop her and doesn't rat on her. She needs Lisa to make the choice herself. And I think that role was fairly well played.
Oh, it definitely was. I mean, she was definitely the best friend. I think, too, let's be honest, clearly she was using Johnny's apartment just as much as Lisa was using Johnny's, well, maybe not as much, but she was definitely benefiting from having, a safe house to go and schlep her man. So,
right.
which is just...
Is that a safe house or a safe word house?
So creepy. Like, it's so creepy what goes on in the room.
That could be said about many things about this film. Kyle Vout, who played Peter, the psychiatrist.
Yeah, you know what? When he was introduced, I was like, who the is this guy? But again, he, out of all of the characters, really seemed, he's a psychologist, so he definitely...
But you're a psychiatrist.
Yeah, it was almost kind of like, well, how convenient.
Right?
You're surrounded by nuts, yet you've got a psychiatrist. An in-house psychiatrist.
But you always play psychiatrist with us. Yeah. But I think in this case, Peter was actually, I mean, again, not long on screen like many people in this film, but not poorly written. I could have seen this character actually being a pivotal point had they flushed out that maybe Johnny and Lisa were both seeking help from Peter. Like,
that would have been interesting. I mean, it definitely would have been, I think, if anything, he could have very much been the voice of reason that Lisa needed.
One more to go through here, and that's Dan Janjigan, who played Chris R., the drug dealer on the roof with the gun and Denny. Again, very small role, but how was he?
I mean, he was the only one that wasn't involved in this whole love triangle, so good on him. It was kind of like, wait, what's happening here? But it kind of gave a bit more insight to Denny's story. So,
right. Did it, though?
I don't know.
It was never mentioned again.
Probably left more questions. And, I mean, what the hell? So Tommy and Mark, drag him downstairs and hand him off to the police and then just come back up to the, up to the roof like nothing happened.
Right.
Oh, no, it's not like nothing happened. I mean, believe me, everybody was ripping on Denny about having a gun to his face. But again, if there was a large sum of money or drug dealing or whatever, maybe they were all on Danny's supply.
Maybe this was all Denny's fever dream.
And then he wakes up and everything's fine.
Yeah, no.
Johnny and Lisa are in love again. I don't know.
It was all a dream. All a dream. Yeah, no. Okay. the fact that we are still talking about this film 30 years since its release, a small, independent, self-financed film with no notable actors, no studio behind it, basically a one-man driving force. And yet somehow we're still talking about this film 30 years later. It's almost like this film unlocked, the Pandora's box or the cheat codes to how to create a cult film. And that's the thing, right? Like, apparently you see this at a midnight screening and it's an experience. For us sitting at home and watching it, it's just us sitting at home and watching it. But with The Room, does the absurdity of it make it more interesting?
Well, I have to say I'm intrigued on the idea of the midnight watch. And they're throwing spoons?
Yeah.
What point? Is that where he throws the beer can?
No. If you take a look in The Room, most of the pictures that are in frames in there are pictures of spoons.
I did not notice that.
Because apparently the setting for The Room, like all the furniture and all that, was literally a window display at like a furniture shop that they went and just bought everything, including pictures of spoons.
Huh. Fascinating. So you mean to say that they took apart the set, so this wasn't like all filmed in an actual room. It was actually filmed in a studio. A studio.
Because that's what big Hollywood films do.
Huh.
Yeah, again, this is one of those things where this was on the insistence of Tommy Wiseau.
And not a single indicator that it was actually raining outside that,
Yeah, that many sex scenes, yes.
That's that waterfall scene. At one point I'm like, how do they have like a waterfall against a window? Like, what is going on there? Anyway.
Anything can happen in The Room. Two things came to mind as we were watching this, though. And they were probably very, very wrong answers. But hear me out on this one here. There were moments in the room where people would enter the room, as they would do in this film. And in my mind, all I was hearing was like the audience, like the live studio audience applause when a character enters a room for the first time. And I wonder if someone ever took this movie and had scenes where, the oh hi Mark scenes, and like someone walks through a door and all you hear is the studio going, ah, kind of thing. Like, if you had a live studio audience reaction to this, I wonder how that would help. But also, imagine if one day there was The Room, the stage play.
Okay, yes, I can totally 1000% see this as a stage play.
Right?
Like, in fact, that was kind of like the thing going through my mind when I first watched it was, okay, this could quite easily have been a play turned into a film. And I think it would work. It would completely work. I mean, there wouldn't be those random, like, football scenes where, well, maybe you could even get away with that. The roof could quite easily have a backdrop.
Complete with The Room signature footballs to be sold at the merch booth.
Right.
Okay. Before we go to our MVPs, social media has chimed in. The Movie Duel podcast, our good friend Peter over there, has chimed in with, it's not even so bad that it's good. It's just so bad that it has to be seen to be believed. It's like seeing a failing marriage proposal in public. You can't not watch. Tommy Wiseau clearly isn't playing with a full deck, but he's got a passion for cinema, so that's something. And I don't disagree with the, passion-fueled project. It very much is a passion-fueled project. But do you think for someone who is interested in film, that this film should be a must-watch just for all the wrong reasons?
Do you know what this is? This is kind of like when we were in school and we watched Living in Oblivion almost as kind of like you're going to experience this. The don't do this. It was almost kind of viewed as the cautionary tale.
Right.
And I really feel that this movie should be put on a list of must-watches for film students. Because it's kind of like, okay, the script is almost predictable. It has a number of cliches as far as characters. Yet there's still a certain amount of charm behind this. So it's almost kind of like, and I can't say enough of how I agree with the passion-fueled project statement, because this really was clearly Tommy Wiseau's vision, and he made it happen. And there's something cool about that. Whether it was a good movie or needs defending, I'm here for it.
It's a very diplomatic way of saying things, right?
And I'm here because you told me I have to be.
It's the 100th episode. You knew what you were signing
You
up for.
told me I had to say nice things. And
Right.
if I couldn't say nice things, then I had to just say, I don't want to talk about it.
Nope, that's completely fair. For the record, when we were trying to figure out which movie to do for this episode, it was either going to be this or Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck was our 2-year anniversary film. This was the 100th episode. So now you know the broken mindset that goes behind what shows we do and when on this podcast.
What will be 200?
Ooh.
I'm asking you to call your shot now.
You have to think it's going to be something really, 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 really bad. Like really bad.
What else is there? Dear listeners, what should be the 200?
I don't know. There's a fascinating article on Wikipedia of films with an F cinema score. And maybe we take a look at those. Like when you fail hard.
Ooh.
Right? So maybe we'll tap that resource. But I would love to hear what our listeners would like for our 200th episode, which will be in 2 years from now. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But now it's time to break you because you have to pick an MVP. So, Carrie, who is your MVP of The Room?
The football. No. The beer can that gets thrown when he's like, it's bullshit. I swear I didn't hit her.
That's a water bottle.
It's a water bottle.
It's a water bottle.
Oh, okay. Even better.
Right? And
because Tommy doesn't drink.
Well, that water bottle was
aside from the scotchka.
The water bottle was it's not scotchka. Apparently, it's cognac and vodka.
It's conca.
It's conca. But no, apparently the water bottle in that scene was handed to him because he was flubbing that scene so many times. And Greg Sestero had this idea of like, if he had a prop, then he wouldn't focus so much on his lines and his marker. And that's how they got that take.
I think it would have been better as a beer can or a bottle or something.
But Johnny doesn't drink.
Yeah, we all know that's bull.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. I swear, I didn't hit her.
Okay. But,
oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Which really,
I think that before we get to your MVP,
best line.
I'm saving you a little bit of time here, but before we do, this film is entirely quotable. Like, because they're so out there. Like I when Sean Faust was chatting about this film, of course Sean being a guest on the show and whatnot, he messaged me. He's like, and I definitely have breast cancer, and it's like, yep, no, you got it. You accept this. That this movie is part of reality.
Well, I think that's the perfect example of how the lines were written on the page, and literally. Like, and this is not a knock against the actors, but it was almost like the lines were delivered exactly as they were written. And there was not much allowance for the actors to kind of feel what they're saying at times. And it really felt like the cancer scene was just that. It was almost kind of like, and I definitely have cancer. What? Where did that come from? Was there a conversation that maybe we were missing previous to this? And there were a few times where I noticed, actors will come in to a scene or come into the room, and it's almost kind of like you're missing the top half of where this conversation's picking up. The scene where Lisa and her mom are coming back from shopping. And was that when Michelle and her boyfriend were on the couch?
Possibly.
Or Denny was in the room or something. It was... Anyway, again, so I've borrowed enough time. I am going to go with the man himself, the creator, Tommy Wiseau. Because you know what? This was definitely his passion project, and he made it happen. And you have to think he's also taking a lion's share of the work, right? Whether he's taking the paycheck or not, who knows? But he made this happen. He wrote the script. He made it happen.
Yeah, it's
all his fault.
Yeah.
I mean, his.
Yes. It's his fault, and it's his fault. I think, and that could say so much. I think for me, though, my MVP is Robin Paris, who played Michelle. I think Michelle benefits from having the most sensical dialogue in this, and I think she benefited from not having to play a bad character, right? As we said, Mark's not a good guy. Lisa's not a good girl. Lisa's mother is not a good mom.
But we almost have to give props to Lisa, or the actress who played Lisa.
Oh, Julia Danielle, I think definitely deserves props for finishing the role and whatnot, but I just thought that Robin Paris was probably the best actor in this.
Because it's got to be hard, though, to be so heartless.
And
she played it well.
She got through it well. I think that's the thing, right? And, for a lot of these actors, it was probably their first roles, some of their first roles. And, depending on the direction and depending on the working environment, you're probably struggling through days of filming. And, depending on the direction that you're given, that's your template for that. You don't have that much in the way of prior experience to know what to push back against. So you go in, you read the dialogue that somehow makes sense in the writer's mind, and you go with it. And yes, everyone involved should, kind of take a bow. And I think that's the thing, is that time has allowed people to appreciate this film for what it is, and being a cult classic midnight movie, slice of film history of just getting her done, because that's what passion dictates. And for all its faults and for all its flaws and for all its flubs, The Room proves that you can do it. And that's not a bad thing. What is a bad thing is that we have reached the end of this episode. So, Carrie, thank you. Thank you so much for watching The Room and making it to the end with me. Listeners, thank you for 100 episodes of this podcast. So, I'm safe to say, you guys know the drill. If there's a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or is just so bad like this, that there's no way in The Room that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at Not That Badcast, or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, be sure to check out all of our other shows, including Keep Watch Pass, There Can Only Be One, and Grading on a Curve. And check out our Coming Soon page so you can see some of the other movies that we are preparing to do episodes on. Drop us a line. Let us know what you thought of those films. Until next time, Carrie, Oh, hi, Carrie.
Oh, hi, Jay.
Oh, hi, listeners. This is It's Not That Bad. Take care.
Hey folks, Stefan Shirazi and Renee Richardson here from the Metallica Report.
And we are proud members of the Pantheon podcast family, where the best of music and podcasts unite.
We've got something pretty cool for you. We're giving away an exclusive Metallica merch package worth over $250.
That's a whole lot of Scary Guys, Skulls, M72, and other sought-after Metallica swag. And we've made it easy for you to win. Follow and share the Metallica Report, and you're in the game. Go to pantheonpodcast.com/Metallica, enter your email, and hit that button to be entered to win.
And just like that, you're eligible for our monthly exclusive Metallica merch package.
And guess what, rockers? You can enter every month, so just do it. And while we love our global brothers and sisters, the lawyers won't let us ship outside the U.S.